purchase agreement that is prepared with the city. Tonight, the board will, when we get to the new business and the agenda, the board will consider a resolution to pass the purchase agreement. The purchase price of those properties is $116,000. That is the appraised value. We had those properties appraised a year ago in September of 2024. I did tell the board members in our committee meeting last week, the purchase agreement does include easement for access to the fiber optic cabinet that is still in that building. We will need access to that until we have a different way of providing fiber optic services to our school district. The purchase agreement has been reviewed and actually put together by our attorney. We have a closing date potentially of January 23rd. If both parties agree and everything works, we could actually close sooner than January 23. So that's all of the information there in the purchase agreement, which has been posted online. The actual legal description is here in Exhibit A, that is referred to in the purchase agreement, and these are the parcel numbers from that. The resolution itself that the board will consider in new agenda, again, is the conveyance of real property to the city of Mount Pleasant. That's what will be at that purchase price, everything that was in the purchase agreement. And that is also listed in the resolution. So, and the description of the property is in the resolution. All that has been posted on the website. It was also the public meeting, or the public hearing was posted for this evening. So.
Is that with modification of that closing to be 2026? This document says 25.
This document here?
Down at the closing in possession, section 6, January 23rd, 2026.
Let me get to it.
It's on the first page.
Section 6. Okay, yep, I will get that. We'll definitely get that changed. Yeah, so yes, the purchase agreement would be January 23, 2026.
All right. Have there been any written objections filed?
No, I have not received any communication, objections or affirmative regarding this.
Does the board have any comments? Now is the time for public comment. Is anybody here to speak on the public hearing? All right, hearing none, this will close the public hearing. Next up is citizen comments.
No one contacted me to speak to the board.
All right. Next up is approval of minutes, claims, and financials. We did discuss at the finance committee meeting about financials. Jessica is going to speak on that. We still don't have resolution on the final financials, so the motion will be for minutes and claims again, and in January we will then approve the last 2 months. It will be the last 3 months of financials. So Jessica is going to give us an update.
So the update is, we put a ticket in with Infinite Campus, as you do with most software companies. Have a ticket, they email back and forth with you. That wasn't going so well because I had a lot that I needed to explain. So we finally were able to Zoom with Infinite Campus early last week, and the issue has been resolved. As of that meeting, the issue has been resolved, so all of the online transactions from that date, I believe it was the 1st of December. I want to say December 2nd, actually, is when our Zoom meeting was. All of the online transactions that are received December 2nd on are automatically going to be accurate. However, going back July 1st to that date, they were trying to come up with a solution so we wouldn't have to go through every single transaction to make sure that, for instance, a yearbook goes to the yearbook account or lunch money goes to a lunch money account. However, as of today, when a couple of our secretaries met with Infinite Campus for another issue, they said, you know, you can continue to wait or you can start going through transactions one by one. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm going through transactions one by one. I went through July and August. I'm halfway through September. I will wrap that up and it will be ready for the July board meeting for financials. I did want to know from the gentleman that we Zoomed with, the representative, because my number one concern was if someone makes a payment on Infinite Campus for a lunch account or something, is it getting credited to their account? So that was my main concern. I can figure all of the other stuff out in time, but they did assure me that yes, and they gave me examples to go back through so they could show me that yes, if Jessica Boyer put $50 in her lunch account, it was showing up there. So I can confidently relay that information to you. It's just the hiccup moving forward because I want to make sure I'm a very black and white gal. I want to make sure that everything is completely accurate and that all of the totals in the accounts from the online payments that we're receiving are reported correctly. So that's why I held off on giving any sort of numbers right now. So yep, I will have those all for you as I go through all of the transactions one by one. So yep.
Any questions on that?
So this was determined to be on Infinite Campus's end. Whatever the glitch was, they're owning that.
It was a setup issue, so I'm not sure how many years you guys have had Infinite Campus, but we're going back to July 1. Speaking with the auditors, the CAR's already been done, audits have already been done, so it's kind of an inherited issue, so to speak, but we caught it and we're fixing it as of July 1 moving forward, so.
And to reiterate, it's between the balances, like all of the money. So if
Cash
there was,
is, yes, the cash is there, the bank statements are all balanced. It's just, I can't completely with confidence say that, for instance, the yearbook money, if I think that it has $420 in there and it's actually showing that it has $1,200 in there, is some of that milk money, is some of that instrument rental money. It's, you know, when we went back and looked through with the representative, it was when everything was set up, however long ago that was. So, yeah. Just kind of caught it recently. So.
any other questions? Do you want to go over the fiscal year 27 or?
Yep, yeah. Yeah, I can do that and then you'll approve, okay. Okay, what I wanted to do just quickly, as we did at our last meeting, because this does obviously affect financials, there, as we head into the start of the legislative session in January, there's been a lot of conversation about, well, what is state supplemental aid going to look like? What kind of level is that going to be? We have heard anywhere from 0% to 2%. So we did this last month. I'm going to just quickly run through this exercise with you again. I did this with the Finance Committee on Friday, just to hopefully to build your capacity a little bit on kind of how the school side of finance works a bit. So let me just run through this. These are possible new money calculations for fiscal year 27. So we are currently in fiscal year 26. We're in the school year 25-26, but we are in fiscal year 26. So these are calculations. The school district's fiscal year runs from July 1 through June 30th. And so on July 1 of 2025, we started fiscal year 26. So these are new money calculations for fiscal year 27. What do we know? We know that on October 25th, our certified enrollment was 1,705.21. Okay? So if you said there was no increase at all in state supplemental aid, and that amount stayed at $7,988, that would be a 0% increase. The simple math is you take your certified enrollment and multiply that times the dollars per pupil, and you come up with $13,621,217. Those are called regular program dollars. Regular program dollars. So then, the next part of the calculation is you're going to take the previous year's regular program dollars, the year that we're in, fiscal year 26. The previous year regular program dollars, $14,035,715. So we're going to subtract from that what we just calculated, the 13,621,217. We're going to subtract that from that, and you can see in that scenario, at 0% SSA, we would receive $414,498 less than the previous fiscal year. Any questions to this point? Okay. In Iowa, school districts are guaranteed, you are guaranteed at least 1% of the previous year's regular program dollars. They call it the 1% guarantee, or some people call it the 101% guarantee. So you're guaranteed that in, quote, new money. So 1% of the fiscal year 26 regular program dollars, this number right here, 1% of that is $140,357. You're guaranteed at least that amount in new money. And the reason that they do that is because if you have low SSA, if you have reduced enrollment, they expect you to make adjustments in your budget, but they're giving you basically giving you a year to get that done. You know, they're saying we're guaranteeing you 1%, but you're going to have to make the adjustments in that year. So we started out $414,498 less than the previous year, and we're guaranteed that 1%. So what we have to do is we have to add these two figures together And that is what's called our budget guarantee amount. And again, in this scenario, at 0%, it's $554,855. So to get that 1%, first of all, you have to, I'll just say you gotta climb out of the hole $414,000, because that's where we started. And then that gets you to 0, that gets you even, and then the additional 1% here. So you add those two together, and you get the budget guarantee amount of $554,855. Now, if the board decides that, yes, we want that cash, we will need that cash, that is a local property tax. You have to levy for that amount in this scenario at 0%, $554,855. And what that does, it guarantees you 1% new money. If during the budget, the budget process, the certified budget process, the board decides that yes, we're going to levy for that amount, the tax levy impact on generating $554,855 is just over 80 cents per thousand. And the way that you get that is you take $554,855, you divide it by the taxable valuation per thousands. So our taxable valuation, you can see here, 689,905,000. So you're doing that is thousands. So 554,855 divided by the taxable valuation, it's going to take just over 80 cents to raise $554,855 local property tax. Okay? Any questions on that and how that's calculated? I did, that was 0%, and I'm not gonna, I won't walk all the way through this, but I wanted you to see what the tax impact on a 1% increase. Here's 1% in SSA, which takes the per pupil dollars to this amount here, and we'll just go all the way down to the bottom. If it was 1%, then the budget guarantee amount becomes $418,438. And at 1%, if you were going to levy back for the budget guarantee amount, you're going to be at about 61 cents per thousand. Any questions on all of that? In the committee meeting, someone asked, well, when do we consider all of that? Well, we consider that specifically when we start the certified budget process in this spring. In March, we have 2 hearings on the certified budget process, and of course it has to be completed by April 15th.
And just to reiterate, we've gone over several times now, but through the projection tools that are found on the Iowa State School Board Association's website, we have done the models, and we don't get off of that budget guarantee, or we don't have a scenario in which we don't fall under that for fiscal year 27 outside of a 4% SSA.
That's correct, Aaron. Just a little over 4%.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, it would take a little over 4% for us to be off of the budget guarantee for fiscal year 27. Yeah.
Is there currently a levy in place for the budget guarantee?
We are not on the budget guarantee this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion to approve minutes and claims.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Flint,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Yes.
All right, now we have reports, instructional reports. So first with our elementary entities.
Has it changed since you sent it? No. Yeah.
oh, I forget we have to use this lovely thing. All right, hi guys. For those of you who haven't seen us up here multiple times this year, we're back on our second or third tour. Kind of lost track of our count. I'm Katie Sands. I am the principal at Harlan Elementary.
I'm Melanie Clore. I'm blessed to be the principal at Van Allen, which is a 3rd through 5th grade building.
And I'm Ashley Hoyer. I'm the building principal at Lincoln Elementary, which houses our 1st and 2nd graders, but also I'm the principal at Salem Elementary that has one section of kindergarten through 5th grade.
So we are here tonight to talk about, at the beginning of the year, we started a new master schedule. So we are here tonight to give an ongoing update on how that's going.
So we're going to circle back to kind of what we talked about last time. We really are looking at this implementation of going grade alike as phases, and it doesn't mean that a phase is in a year. It could be 3 to 5 years, it could be 1 to 2 years. It kind of depends on our productivity, our culture, and all of these factors that we're looking at. So we were looking at just kind of phase 1 is really building that foundational piece. Last year it was a lot of managerial pieces, traditions, what are we keeping, how do we align all of our elementaries, and we're still in that phase. And then also phase 2 is really tightening up our implementation of practices, instructional pieces, still tightening up our managerial pieces as well. And then phase 3 is what's it look like as an impact on our students? What does it look like on our community? How do we need to refine and continue to strengthen our pieces? And then phase 4 is really sustaining the work and thriving through that work. So that's just kind of where we're at, but I would say right now we're still in phase 1. It's not so much the bus arrival and dismissal, it's more of the instructional practices, our master schedule that we're going to heavily hit tonight, and just kind of that mid-year check and how we're implementing our practices, leaning into phase 2.
All right, well, if you were able to attend the SIAC meeting the other night that Dr. Butler and Mr. Henriksen facilitated, we spent a good amount of time talking about how Mount Pleasant is a professional learning community, or a PLC. So at the elementary level, we are doing our best to develop a master schedule that really hits on the 3 focus areas of a PLC. Those 3 focus areas are focused on learning, developing a collaborative culture, and also being results-oriented, utilizing data to make decisions. So one way that we are working really hard to live that out is by developing a schedule that allows for that. So previously, our schedule only allowed for our teachers to collaborate on Friday early outs. And we heard a lot of feedback that our teachers wanted more time together to collaborate. And so this year, what we did was we made a shift to try to develop a balance between instructional time and teacher collaboration. And so we realize that there are still things that need to be changed, but we are definitely one step closer to getting that really good balance. But right now we do realize that there are still some things that we're finding out that need to be tweaked. With all that being said, we are still working very hard to become that results oriented so that we can achieve the goals that the district has set, but also the goals that we've developed in each of our buildings to then feed into those district goals.
So as we are strengthening that foundational support with the infrastructure of our master schedule, some of the factors that we really look at are our priorities during our collaboration time, whether we're purposefully planning, which if that's a new phrase to you, it's really what does it look like and sound like in all of our grade levels, or all of our title teams or special education services. How can we really grow with each other and make it better for our students. And so that takes a lot of conversations, and so whether it's purposeful planning or we're outlining and analyzing data for our Tier 1 services, for all of our students, or our Tier 2 services where they might need some interventions or extensions, and then also our special education services. So we're really trying to focus in on that. And so we really want to connect that work and not make it isolated work, and so that takes some time and some wrestling with the data, wrestling with what is the best highly impactful routine that we're using, or what does that look like in kindergarten. I know that Ms. Sands last time talked a lot about how are we pronouncing this sound, using the visual phonics with it, and what does that look like for our students. And so we know that we have some positive things that are happening from our master schedule. One is our Fridays. Our special teachers like art, music, PE, they actually take students, and this is kind of a rare opportunity within our district. They take students based on data to extend or remediate. So if a student's struggling, they can say, hey, I'm gonna take these groups of students and I'm going to have some chunks of time to help them strengthen that skill. Or maybe they need some extension in art and they can build upon those standards during their Friday. We know that we want to refine some things. One thing is STEM and computer science standards are coming down the pipeline, and so we're continuously learning our programs through that. We're trying to coach our teachers on that, and so there's things that we're trying to iron out there, as well as we're continuously refining our highly impactful routines. What is best for our students right now based on our data, getting observations with our teachers, so teachers are now able to observe each other, they co-plan together, they co-reflect, which is really neat to see, but it still takes time to refine those practices. And so really tonight, that's kind of what we've noticed so far. And like Ms. Sand said, we still need to focus in on that. This is like our mid-year check, and so we're leaning into what do these practices look like and how are we going to continue throughout the way to find those quick wins for this next, next January, next February. And then our goal is that we can take our feedback from our BLT, our building leadership teams, but also have a solution-focused survey at the end of the year with all of our teachers to kind of really say, what solutions can we look into to make it even better for next year for our master schedule?
Okay, so then, as always, well, I guess not always, but the last time we presented as well, we talked about the brain states. We've talked about this a lot with our staff. And it's, it's flowing. It's not like you stay in this state or this state or that state. And I have to say the same, I thought about this, guys, sorry, with our phases. When we had our 4 phases listed, when we built those phases, we were like, we're gonna do phase 1, then we're gonna do phase 2, and it's almost like this. We constantly go back to phase 1, and then we might move down a little bit, and then we come up a little bit, because there's just so many new things going on. So, we're gonna do a little activity here tonight to kind of talk to you about, like, a big thing with our teachers and us is change. I have to pull up my picture of my notes, sorry. Is change. And with change, we just kind of want to put a little example to change. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do, you all don't have to do this, but you definitely can if you want to join in on the fun. And teachers, you've already done this once before. So I just want you to take your hands and clasp them together, like with your fingers. You just leave them like that. Okay, now I want you to look down at your hands and look, is my right thumb over my left thumb? Is my left thumb over my right thumb? Are my thumbs not even touching? And just look at how your hand is. And you want to think to yourself, when did I first do this like this? Why did I do it like this? You just do it, right? Okay, so go like this, and now do it again. Did it change or did it stay the same? It stayed the same, right? So when it stays the same like that, how does it feel? Safe, comfortable? Okay, now it's a habit, right? Now we're just gonna shake things up a little bit. Okay, now I want you to switch your thumbs. So I want you to put your hands together, but put them the different way. So if you need to put them together and then switch it, whatever you need to do. Okay, now do this. Put them together different again. I love it. Mr. Henderson is like, You had to think a little bit, right? Okay, now how does it feel this time?
Different.
Uncomfortable, right? Okay, that's our schedule this year. There's parts of it where we're like, this is great, this is awesome, it feels great. But there are parts of our schedule where it's like, okay, we thought this was going to be amazing, and at first it felt great, and now we're like, maybe that's a little uncomfortable. Maybe there's some tweaks we have to make to it. So that's kind of our connection with our brain with it. Like, everything we're doing is still changing. So we're still going through comfortable phases where we're down here and we can use our executive state, and we're going through survival states sometimes still too with our schedule. Constantly, okay, that worked well, but that didn't. How do we tweak that? That's constantly going on as we're going through the schedule. So that was just kind of our last activity, so you could, I don't know, feel how our teachers are feeling, how we're feeling as we're still navigating through this change that's going to take time for us to get through. So then our last slide is, if I told them to put on there, we are not accepting questions, but they wouldn't do it. So what questions do you have for us?
So you talked about change. So how much change are you expecting to make for next year, right? So you completely changed it this year. So you talked about, so is it 50% good? Is it 80% good? Are you only keeping 10% of it? Where are you at?
I was gonna say, I think more of it is good than bad. I don't really like the word bad, but that needs tweaked.
I just know from like 3rd through 12th, we've also just went through with our building leadership team, like the SAMI work, if you've heard of that before, or the ESSA work. And so a lot of it, we're trying to anchor into a lot of work that takes that collaboration and that co-planning and reflecting. And so it's good stuff happening. It's just gonna take some time. So I don't have a certain percentage, but also it's a testament to the teachers that they're digging in and saying, we want to observe each other. Let's make this tighter together for our students. And so I think it's they're gaming to do it. And so we just need to refine some of those details to make it flow a little bit natural.
I'd say the planning together, having that ability to plan together, because we have those 6 specials that are the same. We would love to keep the same, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to, I don't have them like you do, but that's all I was going to.
Totally gonna get that.
So that's the part that I think will stay the same. But then it's also with our shared staff, it just gets so tricky still. So we have to figure out the best way to share our staff, the best way. When's the best time to have interventions for 3rd through 5th versus when's the best time to have interventions for kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade. So it's just those little things like that.
And recently, Ms. Sands and I had a conversation.
So that is an update on the work of that committee. We talked a little bit already tonight about property taxes, and I wanted to share with you, we get data from the School Board Association regularly, and this particular piece of data is fiscal year 26. Again, that's the fiscal year that we are in. School district property tax rates. So I'll zoom in on this. We'll look at the legend here first. Anything that is the darker green is the lowest rate in the state is $7.98 up to $10. And then anything in the lighter green is just over $10. We had a Great Prairie Area Education Agency Superintendent's meeting on Wednesday, December 3rd. Dave Doughton is the school administrators of Iowa. He's the lobbyist, he's the legislative liaison. Here are a few of the things that he mentioned. We already talked about state supplemental aid being discussed at 0% to 2%. The concern is how low SSA affects districts on the budget guarantee. So we just went through that whole exercise, and I shared with you what that budget guarantee is going to do to our local property tax rates. Well, if you go with, if the legislature goes with the lower the SSA, the greater the number of districts that are going to be on the budget guarantee, which affects local property taxes. So it's kind of a I don't know whether you call it a catch-22 or whether you call it ironic, because there is focus this year. There will be focus this year on trying to lower property taxes at the legislative level. Lower SSA does not help that because districts are going to have to levy for additional property tax. So kind of an interesting quandary there. As I mentioned, property taxes, now these are his words, these are Dave Dutton's words, not my words. I took them right from him. The governor wants to get something done with property taxes. Again, these are his words. He heard yesterday that they were not going to pass. They were probably going to pass something just to say that they did, then have to fix it next year. It's going to be hard to agree on something that won't increase somebody's property taxes. Dave has heard that a freeze on retirees' property taxes is a possibility. This is interesting. SAVE, the 1 cent sales tax, it has been floated by some legislators to funnel some of those dollars away from school districts, which would be devastating. Excuse me. That would be devastating to school districts, especially since they have limited our capacity to general obligation bond to 1 time per year. That would be very difficult to deal with for a lot of school districts. E-Verify, most likely there will be legislation to require districts to use it. The FBI background checks, they don't contain information about immigration status. This E-Verify it's in the hopper for us. We are the company that we use and how we use it has an E-Verify option, so we will be implementing E-Verify. Student behavior, the legislators have had multiple questions about this, there's been rumors, even talking about AEAs spending special education dollars to form behavior centers for some of the most extreme cases. We have heard testimony from districts, even in our own AEA, about extreme behavior cases from students, and the only option for placement is out of the state, and it costs them hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to place students out of state. So there's been some conversation about that. And then unspent authorized budget, they've convened a committee to study unspent authorized budget balances, and some legislators believe that unspent authorized budgets should be limited. So that is some of the conversation that I heard from the legislative liaison on Wednesday. So that's the legislative update. Just a few reminders here. No work session in December. January committee meeting schedule, just to make everybody aware, again, the first Thursday and the first Friday in January, that's January 1 and January 2. So we won't be meeting January 1 and January 2. So we will meet as committees on January 8th and January 9th. And you guys will, when we get to the organizational meeting tonight, you guys will form your committees, and I don't know, maybe we'll decide to meet totally different days, I don't know, but, okay. And then, number 7, IASB, the Ready, Set, Govern professional development is here, January 14th. So I would encourage all Mount Pleasant board members to put that on your schedule. Professional development for board members. We are hosting that. We are the regional site for Ready, Set, Govern. So there will be numbers of districts attending, superintendents and board members we will be here in the media center that evening on January 14th. Got information on the Day on the Hill. Several of us have gone in the past to the Day on the Hill. That is scheduled to meet with legislators that statewide. That is scheduled for Monday, January 26th. That's the superintendent's report.
Any questions?
I have one. For the Ready, Set, Govern, is there a registration required or just arrive?
We do need to register, so you can let me know, and I will, Cindy will get us registered.
I would like to be registered.
You're there, all right, very good, very good. Sounds good.
All right, next we have board committee reports. Minutes are in your packets. Anybody want to share any highlights from committee meetings? Most things are coming up in new business.
Yep.
All right, other board communication? Erin and I briefly had a conversation that we're not going to share in detail tonight. Mark and myself and Erin and John and Jessica all attended the school board convention last month. Very fruitful few days, lots of information. So we're not going to share tonight, but we will plan on sharing some outcomes of what we learned from our breakout sessions and the keynote speakers in January. We'll have some conversations. We'll send out our notes, and then we'll have some more conversations at board or at committee meetings in January. Anything else? Any other board communication?
I just wanted to follow up on your legislative update and what you spoke about prior with property taxes. In kind of elaboration of what they plan on addressing, we do know from last legislative session that a lot of the talk was to propose putting a severe cap on what public school districts were able to levy at the property tax level. Their thought on that, at least through what they shared, was that instead of that money going locally, it would go to the state, and the state would then determine how it's best to go to the school districts. So just a lot of potential handcuffs that could be put on public school district finances at a time when that would be very inopportune. So a lot to pay attention to there, but big implications on property taxes for this next legislative session.
All right, moving on to consent items. We have personnel and open enrollment. We can take these as individually or together. Are there any questions on personnel or open enrollment? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Jessica, roll call?
Flint,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Hurd.
Yes.
We have no unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business. Our first item is consideration to approve termination of an employment contract with William Barnes, paraeducator.
Okay. Mr. Barnes, the administration will go first, and then as we discuss, I'll give you 15 minutes to share with the board. You can do that from where you're at there, and I'll give you the microphone. So board members, you have this in your packet. Mr. William Barnes is being recommended for termination of his employment. due to unprofessional behavior and attendance issues. Mr. Barnes is an at-will employee, meaning he serves at the will of the board and is subject to board policy 401.07 dismissal. He is also a probationary employee as per Article 3, Section 2 of the AFSCME contract. Mr. Barnes was offered the position of Panther Den paraeducator at Lincoln Elementary on June 23rd, 2025. He began his employment on August 21, 2025. Mr. Barnes missed 15 days of work beginning September 2, 2025 through November 4, 2025. Lincoln Elementary Principal Ashley Hoyer spoke to Mr. Barnes multiple times about his attendance and that as an at-will probationary employee, his lack of consistent attendance was putting his continued employment at risk. On October 4th, 2025, a Lincoln Elementary teacher shared with Mrs. Hoyer a concern a parent had shared with the teacher regarding Mr. Barnes' interaction with a student. Mrs. Hoyer then spoke to Mr. Barnes, the supervising teacher, and asked that the supervising teacher share any concerns the teacher had about Mr. Barnes' performance with Mrs. Hoyer going forward. On November 6, 2025, after he had been absent for several days, Mrs. Hoyer met with Mr. Barnes and gave him the option to resign or be terminated due to his poor attendance and for unprofessional behavior. Mr. Barnes signed a document confirming his decision to resign. On or about November 7, 2025, Mr. Barnes notified Mr. Henriksen of his request to pull his resignation from the November 10 school board meeting personnel list and requested a hearing before the board as per policy 401.07, employee dismissal. Mr. Henriksen placed Mr. Barnes on unpaid administrative leave pending board action on a recommendation to terminate employment at the December 8, 2025 school board meeting. On December 4th, Mr. Barnes requested the hearing to be in open session at the December 8 meeting. Board members, you have supporting information in your packet. Do you have any questions for the administration? I'll turn it over to Mr. Barnes.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, I have prepared a speech that I will read to you now. Good evening, members of the board, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is William Barnes, and I am standing before you to ask for my reinstatement. I appreciate your time, your patience, and your willingness to hear from me directly. I want to begin by saying that I respect the process. More importantly, I respect the school, this community, and the responsibility of working with its students. I came here because I wanted to be someone who helps students who struggle, who feel unseen, or who need a calm adult to trust. This job gave me purpose, and I truly care about the work I was doing every day. Laid out before you, I have given each one of you a binder that I have carefully put together that outlines evidence supporting my request for reinstatement. I will start with my attendance. I understand that my attendance during my probationary period has raised concerns, and I want to address that plainly. Missing days early on, no matter the reason, is not ideal. I take responsibility for how that looked, and I understand why it worried administration. At the same time, I want to share the context, not as an excuse, but as the truth of what has happened. As you'll see outlined in section 1, 13 of the 15 days I missed were medical absences, all supported by documentation. I was hospitalized with a dangerous virus that caused me to miss 11 days inside of the 3.5 weeks at the very beginning of the school year. Following that, at the beginning of November, I missed an additional 2 days due to severe dizziness that left me unable to safely drive or even stand. I was hospitalized for both of these occurrences. Before I was hired, I was very transparent about having a weakened immune system. It does not come as a surprise to the school board or the school staff. Despite everything, I did my best to communicate clearly, as you'll see highlighted in section 2, and follow procedures because I never wanted to create strain for the school or its staff. Even going as far as to request returning to work if my job was ever considered at risk, I would return to work sick. I was told to stay away if I was contagious, which I was. I was told to remain at home if I ran a fever higher than the standard occurred, which I did. Now my attendance has been drawn into question for merely following the given instructions that were laid out before me. I want to make it clear that while the school says my attendance did not improve, it actually has. Where I struggled early in the year by missing those 11 days inside of the first 3.5 weeks, over the month and a half that followed, I only missed 2 additional days due to illness, with an additional 2 days that marked the 15th, the 14th, and 15th as personal days I had requested to take and was approved to give by the school. The school was also inaccurate in the number of days I missed. They have since corrected, thank you. Finally, on the subject, I would like to point out that multiple dates the school mentioned as having conversations regarding attendance were not in a formal setting. 2 of them were not even in person, they were shared through emails that have been listed, and 1 was in a hallway on a glancing conversation. This leaves the entire process very unclear on exactly how detrimental my absences were. No verbal or written warnings were ever given, and only stating of their concerns were there even any mentions of my absences, as well as contradicting conversations that led me to believe my absences were okay under justifiable reasons. Regarding the other concerns raised, highlighted in section 3, I want to address them with complete honesty. I never intended to overstep any personal or professional boundaries and make anyone uncomfortable. My goal has always been to support students with compassion, patience, and professionalism. However, I also want to acknowledge something very important. Certain expectations and boundaries were never explained to me directly, such as when it was appropriate, when or if it was appropriate to contact a parent, or if it was appropriate, when or if it was appropriate to contact a parent, or what physical interaction guidelines were specific to my role. I tried to follow the examples of the staff around me, and I acted in good faith. Still, looking back, I recognize that I should have asked more questions and sought clarification sooner. For that, I do take responsibility. If given the chance, I would absolutely recommend and welcome training, guidance, and mentorship to ensure I meet every expectation of the school and the district so no boundaries are ever mistakenly crossed in the future. Not just for myself, but for all staff, this is an important and vital lesson to learn from, as multiple coworkers have also informed me of the lacking of clarification and understanding they have in this area, as highlighted in section 4. Also, regarding the concerns raised within the students, I would like to point out that no individual investigation was done with any of the 3, at least none to my knowledge, and none involving me. I will skip discussing the individual incidents, but they are recorded in the listings. Lastly, on the subject, I would like to point out that for over 12 years, I have worked with the Park and Rec youth leagues to coach many children. And not once have I had any concerns regarding my integrity come into question, with many parents even going as far as to have me become one of the most requested coaches to this date. Additionally, I would like to add, even though it is not permissible, or even though it is not mentioned on the board, I did make an emotional social media post exclaiming everything, and the school did inform me that they felt that was inappropriate. The only thing looking back that I would change is I would not use the administrator's name directly. Otherwise, within my post that has since been deleted, but out of respect, but screenshots in section 5 highlight for you. I not once spoke negatively of the staff, including the administrator, nor the school district. I rather praised my job and merely wanted to speak up to protect my character from being tarnished by any negativity and any attack on my integrity for allegations that are misleading. I originally wanted to ask close friends and fellow staff members to speak here tonight on my behalf. However, as you'll see highlighted in section 6, a somewhat disturbing group of messages will show that multiple coworkers and friends are scared to speak up despite wanting to, in fear of their jobs being jeopardized. Therefore, this is why the majority of their names have been removed to protect their identities. Lastly outlined, I also want to share that throughout my time here, I received positive feedback from administration, as well as many coworkers and peers. Messages acknowledging that I was doing well, that I connected with students, and that my efforts mattered, as shown in section 6. Those moments meant a lot to me, and I have included those messages in this binder that I have provided, along with the letters and support from coworkers, parents, peers, and community members in section 7. Their words reflect relationships I have tried to build and the impact I hope I was making. I am not standing here claiming to be perfect. I am standing here claiming because I care. And because I deeply want the opportunity to continue growing, improving, and contributing to this school. If I made mistakes, I want to correct them. If I fell short, I want to grow and learn from it. I want to rebuild any trust if I caused concern. And this is the kind of educator I strive to be. When I applied and accepted this position, I was informed the turnover rate was high and the district needed help with pairs badly. I didn't think twice about this because I knew this is where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. I truly believe that this is my calling, and now my career is in jeopardy before it's even truly began. I am asking humbly for a second chance, not because I feel entitled to it, but because I believe I can not only continue to be someone who makes a positive difference for these students, but also continue to be a valued and well-liked member of the staff. I am committed to working harder, being more vigilant, and following every guideline and expectation with absolute clarity. I understand coming to a decision on this matter cannot be taken too hastily. That is why I am willing to ask for you to carefully go over the evidence I have given you. Just know that I am currently on that administrative leave that is unpaid, and every day that passes is a day that passes without that pay. This is not just a job to me, but a livelihood and a career that I am fighting to retain. I would like to be reinstated to the position I was hired for as the Panther Den paraprofessional at Lincoln Elementary. If the board grants that privilege, I would also request a meeting with the superintendent and principal to clearly review any expectations, boundaries, communication protocols, so there are no misunderstandings going forward. That would be before I return to work. Thank you again for listening and for allowing me the opportunity to share my heart with you tonight. I am grateful, whatever decision you make, for the chance to speak, and I appreciate the service that you give to this community. Thank you.
Okay. In order to discuss, we need a motion on the table too. Consideration was to approve termination of the employee contract with William Barnes paraeducator.
A motion to discuss?
No, we need a motion to be able to
Right.
discuss them. If there's no motion, there's nothing to discuss.
We can get some clarification. Can we get clarification for some things first before we discuss the motion?
Well, it is a hearing, so it is a hearing, which is a little different than the regular proceedings of new business. So if the board has questions, as they might during a hearing, I think now would be the appropriate time to ask them.
Procedurally.
All right, so, questions?
Go ahead, Aaron. Can I direct it towards Ashley, Ms. Sawyer?
She's part of the hearing.
Okay. Will return to employment have consequences in the building for, I guess, negative consequences for him returning?
Will
Your opinion?
Will I personally have consequences for him, or do
Well-
you feel like it would impact the
Will
building?
it impact,
culturally?
will it negatively impact the culture in the building for multiple educators, or students, or staff?
I think that would be difficult to predict, but what I will say is that I've had a parent contact me who has wished to remain anonymous, who was contacted by Mr. Barnes, who is in fear of either responding, yes, I will speak on your behalf, or no, I will not, in fear that her children that attend Lincoln would be negatively impacted. So she did not want to answer, no, I don't want to speak on your behalf, because she was worried that he may take it out on his children, her children. That's a fact that I have to answer that question. I have had staff come to me concerned and nervous today based on how this vote goes. But I can't predict yes or no whether or not the culture would be negatively impacted. All I can tell you is conversations that I had with a parent in particular and a few staff members today.
Are there any other questions?
Since it's, oh, go ahead.
No, can I direct the question toward Mr. Barnes? I can. My concern, sir, I was a religious volunteer for 12 years at our facility here, so I kind of know character. I'm looking at you trying to know character. Were you 100% not aware of the fact that you could not have contact with the children?
Was I 100% aware that I could not have contact with the children?
Right. Because you had contact with the children, correct? You were one sitting on your lap, as I understood. Is that correct?
I had one that sat on my knees.
Okay. Were you aware that you could not do that?
No.
you were not aware of that. So I have to direct my question. Can I direct a question to you? Where do you feel that the teachers should be, or that they are aware of this fact that they cannot have contact with, in that situation with the child? Not sitting on your lap, not hugging. I guess I'm trying to figure out what.
Are you asking me if I think teachers understand that they should not have students sitting on their
Right.
lap?
Is there a law that says that, or is that just something that we understand that we shouldn't do? Or I'm asking.
I would say, I don't know that there's a law. However, I would say my answer to that question would be yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, yes.
Yeah.
I would like to add that in the binder, I do have several conversations with multiple employees who have stated they have also allowed children to sit on their laps, and they have never been reprimanded. I do not know if administration is aware of these issues. I do not know if they've been brought up to the principal. I do know the reason why I did not move the student off of my knees is because I personally witnessed two teachers allow students to sit fully on their laps. Therefore, I did not see a concern with it.
Okay, with my final comments for the hearing part of this, the administrative teams and the management teams are tasked with personnel decisions every day, from hiring to performance to evaluating and at times separating from employment. I can tell you that none of the members of those teams take those responsibilities lightly, especially when there are hard to fill positions. Mr. Barnes is an at-will probationary employee who on attendance alone missed 15 of 45 days, a third of the days, and was afforded due process during that time. He was also afforded due process regarding the unprofessional behavior that was just spoken about. He was afforded due process regarding all of that. He's an at-will probationary employee who is being recommended for termination of his employment contract based on attendance and unprofessional behavior. And again, I'll state it again, was afforded due process to that end. My recommendation, based on the recommendation of his direct supervisor, is termination of the employment contract for Mr. William Barnes.
Are there any other questions?
I was not aware. I read this. I was not aware. Before I make a decision, I'm going to have all the facts. I'm not going to just make a decision based upon whatever. I was not aware of the fact that he sick 15 days. If he was sick, I guess, and I understand what we're doing here, but was that considered part of this termination, that he was sick?
His absence from work, yes.
So he was sick, and that's why he was absent, correct?
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
I will make a motion to approve termination of the employment contract with William Barnes.
Is there a second?
Before I second, just to further discuss the motion, I appreciate you coming and speaking to us, providing your side of the story, and for the work that you have done for the school district. It is clear to us that you truly do care about the work that you do. It's hard being a new employee anywhere. And there are certain protections and luxuries that are afforded to people who have been at a place of employment for longer than 90 days, oftentimes longer than a year. You have provided medical documentation, which helps. However, without having that protection that comes with prolonged employment somewhere, it's hard to defend absences even when they're of medical nature. And on a human level, I apologize that you were going through those matters that landed you in the ER those many days. That's hard for anybody. And it could be seen as unusual circumstances, but we are only seeing a snapshot of what we're given. And it's hard to justify from an employment standpoint, no matter the profession, not being able to be at work a third of those days, no matter the reason. Again, going back to if you worked there longer, I know that many employment opportunities, if you're there for a year, you're afforded FMLA that offers protection. You know, if this is an ongoing issue that might affect further employment, perhaps there is assistance that can be found within the Social Security Administration, whether that be eligibility for disability. Again, I'm not assessing your situation, but there may be help outside of an employer that might be able to offer protection in the future. As the board, we are here to consider recommendations from the admin below us. And in personnel issues, that's where this falls. And as a district and a board, we see the importance of handling things at the lowest organizational level possible. It's stated in many of our board policies with all kinds of challenges, including concerns of parents. From the documentation that sits before us, even the stuff that you've included yourself, it shows me that that has been handled at the organizational level. There has been frequent communication with your direct supervisor concerning each of these matters. And to me, it seems as though several opportunities were given to you. It was expressed to you the grave nature in the continuation of absences and the conduct issue that is being discussed as well. So in my eyes, I see this as properly handled at the organizational level. And up until this point, it would have been handled at the superintendent level, and in which case, at one point, you signed off on. So I'm not quite sure what information or what change of heart led you to pull that back, but at one point, this process has played out the way that in policy seems to be the way it goes. So unfortunate circumstances, sir, and I wish you all the best of luck in the future and to where further employment somewhere else does not find you in similar instances with unfortunate, unusual circumstances with your health. But because of the information given before us and the breakdown in how it was handled at each step, I would second the motion of Craig.
Is there any other discussion?
I see a concern with Mrs. Hoyer as far as her concern about her students, about her yeah, about our community. And I see that. And yet, I agree with Aaron, the circumstances are beyond sometimes the control. But in this situation, I see the concern of her, I see the concern of Mr. Hendrickson. And knowing their ability and their willingness to do their best they can to help people, to work with people, to work with students, I see that and I have to respect that. And so, yeah, I agree with the second.
Jessica, roll call?
Flint,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
We go no.
Hurd.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is consideration to approve the resolution for conveyance of real property.
So you have, the resolution was part of what we discussed prior to the public hearing. So I would recommend that you approve the resolution for the conveyance of the real property that we discussed prior to the public hearing.
So we're looking for a motion to approve the resolution with the amendment to the purchase agreement of the change in date to January 23rd, 2026 in item 6 of the purchase agreement.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Flint,
Yes.
Schrader,
No.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
No.
Hurd.
No.
Next on the agenda is consideration to approve revised contract with DeCarlo Corporation for the PEO Memorial Building demolition.
Okay, we discussed this. We discussed this at the site committee meeting. DeCarlo has asked for an extension of the timelines due to the nature of due to the cold weather. The equipment needed runs water and has to run water for their misters. They have asked for an extension on a completion of the work to March 31 and substantial completion no later than April 7. If the weather breaks and they have if the weather breaks and they have opportunity to get started, they will do that, but they have asked for that extension. I recommend that you approve.
I'm perplexed by this company bidding on this project, knowing when the time the work was going to take place, and being okay with going through the winter months, and then suddenly, now that they have the bid, saying, well, we can't do our project that we want to do because of our equipment. I'm just confused as to why they thought they would be able to do it in the timeline that they did. Yes, the abatement took a little bit longer, but it's still winter time.
The abatement took significantly longer than anticipated. All of the conversation that we had, and with the architect who is in charge of the project, was that the building would be turned over to DeCarlo Corporation middle of November.
It's Iowa, that's still, risky time of year to expect above freezing temperatures. I'm just, again, perplexed as to why they bid on a project this time of year if they can't run their equipment that's needed for the job. We have concerts coming up, the use of the chapel where people are going to be walking through those buildings, the safety concern that we raised into making the decision that we did. We're kind of stuck between a rock and a crusher in this moment, but it's just a little, I don't know. That's my concern.
I'll move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Just a question, so if the weather doesn't break before this date, then what, then we extend the contract again?
Potentially.
Is the date more or less just a formality? They're gonna do the work as soon as weather allows, and we're just changing the date based on weather?
I think you asked the question at the site committee meeting. We do not have penalties built in. We decided, or the architect, in conversation with the administration, the architect decided, we decided not to build in penalties to try and keep the bid price, as low as possible.
Is there a room for additional financing with this company? I mean, is there a loophole anywhere that says, hey, we got halfway through this job, but turned out too rough? It's gonna cost more, or is it already set on that number is set?
The price for the work is $238,000, yes.
Okay.
Jessica, roll call?
Lint,
Yes.
Schrader,
No.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
No.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Hurd.
No.
Next, we have consideration to approve the waste removal proposal.
We received waste removal proposals from Omega Waste, who is our current provider. These are both for 5-year contracts. Omega Waste, for the cost over the 5 years of the contract, $186,954. Lance Refuse, the cost over 5 years, $205,000. I would recommend that you approve Omega Waste as our waste removal provider.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Jessica, roll call?
Lint,
Yes.
Schrader,
No.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Hurd.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve the Ag Ed greenhouse construction proposal.
So the construction of the greenhouse, which you have already approved, the construction itself can be done by the supplier. That was at a cost of about $70,000. The company's from Nebraska. They would have to send their team to us to construct that. They oftentimes, in my conversation with the Stuppy, who is the company that's providing the greenhouse, they often have local teams, local contractors do the actual construction. We reached out to several. We received one proposal from Griner Construction for a labor-only price of $35,000 to construct the greenhouse. That's estimated man hours for completion of the work at 330 hours. If it takes less than that, they will charge us less than that. Just a reminder that the bulk of this project is being paid for by a grant from Continental. Sorry about that. That was received a number of years ago. Well, I can't quite swipe correctly. The building and materials cost is $74,500. The estimate on concrete, drain tile, sidewalk, getting water and electric to the building. The total there comes to $112,195. The $35,000 construction cost takes the total of $147,195. The grant total at the time, back in January of 2020, the total for the grant was $129,000. I would recommend that you approve Griner as the Griner's construction proposal for the greenhouse.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Jessica, roll call?
Lentz,
Yes?
Schrader,
Yes.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Hurd.
Abstain.
Next, we have consideration to approve modified allowable growth requests.
So we discussed this at the Finance Committee meeting. Based on certified enrollment that was done in October, districts have the opportunity to apply for modified allowable growth, that's spending authority, for a couple of different reasons. One is open enrollment out, that is on certified enrollment that was not on the previous year's certified enrollment. That amount for us is $187,775. And then the other reason is, or one of the other reasons is English language learner instruction beyond 5 years. And you can see we have a number of students, 18 students at the intermediate level with some additional weighting beyond 5 years. And then 2 students at the intensive level with some additional weighting. Again, that's beyond 5 years. And the amount that we can, the amount of modified allowable growth that we can request for that is $34,348. So I would recommend that you approve modified allowable growth. Again, that's spending authority. It's not cash, it's spending authority for those two areas, those two categories.
Can we do those as one motion?
Yes, you can, yes.
Is there a motion to approve modified allowable growth for open enrollment out?
It's one, I'm sorry, it's one application. That's why you can do it as one motion.
So for both the open enrollment and the EL beyond
That's
5
correct,
years?
yes.
So moved.
Second.
Do you think this is going to fall under that watch from the legislative session about unspent budget authority? If we increase that, does that fall under that?
I don't think
Watch
so. I think, Aaron, that this is a bit, you can get spending authority for this. These are real costs. These are real costs. The open enrollment out that wasn't on last year's certified enrollment, that's a real cost that we have to pay this year, because you pay open enrollment in the year that it happens. So that's a real cost for us. The English language learners, again, it's a real cost. We have 18 kids that are intermediate and 2 kids that are intensive that we're serving this year. So that's a real cost. So that's not what the legislature is trying to get at in terms of unspent authorized budget. The way that you build authority is to spend less than the revenues that you take in. And their concern, the legislature's concern, are some of the levels of unspent authorized budget that districts have. And I mean, I can hear the argument, well, you receive funds, they need to be spent on students, which I would 100% agree with. And so, but to answer your question, I don't think this is a focus of that at all.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call?
Lentz,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Hurd.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve the second reading of School Board Policy 400 series. which is employees.
Yep. No. Now, just to be clear, because we had some discussion about this at the policy committee meeting, and I did follow up, Craig, on the licensed employee qualifications, recruitment, and selection. That is a mandatory policy, which we are adopting tonight on a second reading, and classified employee qualifications, recruitment, and selection, which also is a mandatory policy, which we are adopting tonight. And to be clear for new board members, what our goal is on policies and what it has been through this last review cycle, our current policy numbers and a lot of the language does not match the Iowa Association of School Boards reference manual. So what I've done is on kind of on an expedited basis, normally you only go through 3 policy series a year. And I'm trying to get through all 9 policy series by June. So what we're doing is we are discarding our current, I've got in here to delete or discard Mount Pleasant's current 400 series and to adopt the reference policy manual, the policies themselves, and the numbers. So that's what I'm recommending that you do for the 400 series. And then next month I'll do first reading on the 500 series.
So I will note to that, some of the reasons for this is when there is a mandatory change or change in language, when that comes out, it was harder to take that information and then apply it, figure out which policy it applied to. There wasn't a direct correlation, so this does that as well. I will also say, as I look at other districts, most of them match the same. So if we're comparing district to district on other policies outside of the mandatory policies, this makes it easier to do as well. And compare language as well.
Much easier.
Is there a motion to approve the second reading of School Board Policy Series, 400 series employees?
So moved.
Second.
Any other questions? Roll call?
Flint,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Hurd.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve a high school FFA fundraiser.
Okay, and so Ethan, thank you for being here. In case there are questions, Armstrong Tractor, board members, you have this in your packet. We talked about this at the policy committee meeting. Armstrong Tractor is donating a brush cutter to be wrapped. They are doing the raffle. They're involving all 7 of the regional FFA chapters to sell tickets for that raffle. The actual, I've got a picture of the kind of a commemorative brush cutter in FFA colors and with the FFA logo. So that the fundraiser part of this that I'm asking the board, recommending to the board, is for our FFA to sell tickets for the Armstrong Tractor raffle for this brush cutter. There may be opportunity for our chapter to buy a brush cutter designed like this as well and raffle it locally here. Armstrong Tractor has made that part of the offer. However, as I told the board, I have not heard back from the Department of Education on the public purpose, the appropriateness of spending our money for, does it meet the threshold of public purpose? I resent that email again this morning, and have not, still have not heard back. There was something else I was going to mention, about that. Oh, you had asked about licensing, the gambling license. The district's gambling license is not, it's not up to date, It's expired. It expired from the time when we were doing, several years ago, doing raffles as part of prom fundraising. So it is expired. It would have to be reapplied for. This is not, I would say, this is not our raffle. This is Armstrong's. We're selling tickets just like the other 7 FFA chapters. We can explore further the selling one of our own. Well, I just don't have enough information to recommend that to you tonight.
Motion to approve the FFA fundraiser?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Flint,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Hurd.
Yes.
Next, we will be moving into closed session authorized by Iowa Code Section 21.5.1A and 21.5.1E to review or discuss records which are required or authorized by state or federal law to be kept confidential and to conduct a hearing to determine whether to suspend or expel a student. Do we have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Roll call?
Flint,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Overberg,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Hampton,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Hurd.
Yes.